Okay, so for those of you who aren't on NASCAR Twitter, which if you want to look up my Twitter, here it is. Give me a follow. I make some takes, whether they're correct or wrong is up to you to decide. Anyways, so this past weekend on the 18th, IndyCar was at Nashville, right? And Motorsport did an interview with, I believe it was Scott Dixon, I want to say, basically asking him about how he feels regarding the race length they had at Nashville, right? And during his quote, Dixon would make like a slight jab at NASCAR, saying that their races are like so long that it puts them to sleep, right? Well, a couple of days later, on the 22nd, Daniel Trotta would make this, response tweet to Scott Dixon, and rightfully so, Danielle got a lot of flack for this. It was not a very good thing for her to say. However, this recent online beef between Trotta and Dixon once again sparked up the common NASCAR debate that's been going on for like the past couple of years, which is, are NASCAR races too long? So, for those who don't know, the average NASCAR race nowadays, typically from what I saw on a graph, in fact, I'll post the graph here right now. A NASCAR race, typically on average, or specifically Cup race, right? We're talking about the Cup Series specifically. They, on average, are run around just north of 3 minutes. They're kind of like around 3 minutes and 3 hours and 5 minutes, up to 3 hours and up to 3 hours and 10 minutes, right? But basically, on average, they're 3 hours, right? And so there are a couple of media execs and fans who feel like NASCAR races take too long, right? And it really hit like a fever pitch yesterday on Friday when Kyle Larson shared his, feelings regarding Scott Dixon's comments, where Larson would say that he doesn't agree with Dixon that they put so and so to sleep, but Larson does agree that he feels like Cup races are too long. And, you know, I saw a fair amount of media execs, most notably Jeff Gluck, agree with Larson's take, saying that, yeah, Cup races are in fact too long. And here's the thing that I find really annoying about this. They think the solution to getting Cup races to at the very least like under 3 hours to like around or over 2.5 hours is to shorten the race distance, cut away laps. Now, keep in mind that the NASCAR race weekend experience now is nothing like what it was a decade ago, because before COVID you had multiple practice sessions, hour long practice, like individual set, which that could be like a whole nother topic, how NASCAR has just slowly but surely cut away practice, but that's like a completely separate topic. But the point I'm trying to make is that NASCAR over the years after COVID has slowly kind of taken away time that the average race fan who spends a lot of money and travels a fair distance to go to these tracks, the reason they're there is because they want to watch cars on the racetrack. They don't care if it's on race day, if it's qualifying, if it's practice. They are there for one reason, and that's because they want to see a race car on the racetrack. NASCAR has already limited so much of that fan experience by removing practice, in a sense, shortening how long it is, removing practice sessions, right? So now you have this new debate where they want to shorten the race distance because they feel that, oh, well, that's why these races are 3 hours long. They run too many laps. No, that's not the problem. It's never been the problem. I have no issue with the race. I was 9 years old in 2011, happily watching a 500 lap race at Martinsville. I had no issues whatsoever. 2014, I was what? Freaking 11 for a majority of that year. I gladly sat down and watched 200 laps straight of the Daytona 500. I've never had an issue with long races. The true problem that these media execs just don't want to accept is the caution flags. More specifically, how long they take and the stage yellows. Because, oh my god, especially in recent times, the amount of laps NASCAR wastes on some single car spins is obnoxious. Like, a single car spin, truth be told, should not take like 6 to 8 laps to clean up. That is unacceptable. And what makes it worse is that, again, going back to my next gen rant, because I've made a lot of posts hating on the next gen, what doesn't help is that these single car spins are often made worse with the fact that when a next gen car does spin out, they get beached. All four tires get flat and they require a push truck to get them going. But again, that's like a whole separate issue of a next gen car. But the point is, the amount of time they take to just get through a regular caution period is too long. Add on top of that, the stage yellows. These stage yellows, enough's enough. They need to go. Obviously, there are some people who just don't like the concept of stages in general. I am kind of neutral on that. I don't really care on stages themselves. But I've always been on the mindset, if you want to keep stages, that's fine. For the love of God, remove the stage yellows. They ruin the flow of the race, and they ruin organic strategy. Especially at road courses, especially ever since 2017, have been neutered because these stage yellows don't allow for organic strategy calls. Because when it comes to road courses, you have two options: take the stage points and forego your shot at the win, or don't take stage points, but ensure that you have a shot at the win for stage 3. It's lame. It's boring. Every road course basically plays out the same now because of these stage yellows. And then again, another thing, these stage yellows have also ruined super speedway racing because of obviously, if you don't know this, NASCAR has finally made changes to the super speedway package. They're reducing the drag. Obviously, people had a whole fit about them dropping horsepower, but to be fair, horsepower hardly matters at plate tracks, so that's hardly an issue. They finally fixed it. We'll see how it'll play out at Daytona. Again, they still, for the love of God, don't want to have practice at plate tracks, even though there's a new package, but it is what it is. Whatever. That's a different topic again. But getting back onto my original topic, before they made these changes to the plate package, stage yellows absolutely were horrible because these drivers would drive like partial half throttle to save as much fuel as possible. And it made Daytona, and especially Talladega, unbearable to watch. It was horrendous. Stage yellows, they need to go. And the issue is that these execs and even drivers just keep saying, "Oh well, we can't get rid of stage yellows. Like they're here to stay." Like especially like I remember, I think Denny Hamlin made like a comment about that on his podcast a couple of days ago, saying like stage yellows, like they're not gonna go anywhere because something about like TV. And I get it. Like I understand. Yes, TV pays a lot of money. They pay NASCAR a lot of money to broadcast their races. And I understand that TV has to make up that money through commercial breaks. But what I cannot stand with these mandated stage yellows is the fact that, let's say a caution comes out right before a stage end, but they're able to clean the track up in time to go back green. That's just adding more time wasted. That in turn adds to how long a race takes to complete. You have a caution, let's say like 8 laps to go on a stage. You go back green with 2 to go. Oh well, too bad. We have to throw another yellow in 2 laps because it's the stage end. Like, I don't understand how some of these drivers and execs and even some fans just cannot see that the problem is not the length. The problem is the stage yellows and how long it takes NASCAR to get through a regular yellow flag sequence. It is annoying. It is unbearable. It's plain stupid. Utterly freaking stupid. The Cup Series is called the top level of stock car racing for a reason. It is the closest we have to an endurance race without being a proper timed endurance race. That's what the Cup Series is. That's what is it always has been. Has been. I do not want these Cup races to be sliced off and have their race runtime be the average distance of an O'Reilly or truck race. If you want to watch shorter races, that's what the truck series and O'Reilly series are for. That's why they exist, in part. Obviously, if developmental, that's the main reason, right? But they're also there for quick, digestible races. I do not want the Cup Series to be like that. Because then at that point, what really is left that can call it the top level in stock car racing? There really isn't anything left. They've stripped away so much practice, and they took forever and ever to figure out qualifying until they finally got back to traditional ass qualifying. Now, to be fair, I do have my problem with the metric, but that's besides the point. There's nothing left if they do shorten the race distance. Like, enough is enough. NASCAR, I will admit, has done some great steps this season. They brought back the chase. They're removing groups in practice, thank Christ. So no more Group A, Group B. It's just everyone gets to go out and practice. So thank Christ for that. They finally made changes to the super speedway package. Well, hopefully Daytona this August is a good race again, even though they should have practice, but again, that's besides the point. NASCAR has made good decisions, but NASCAR, like always, can just never have a good decision without being paired with a bad decision. And this is one of them. The fact that they truly believe that the issue is the race length when it is not.